So,
Thinking real estate.
first, I have to compliment the committee who put How Bizarre on. They did a great job. It was, they learned from last year, I think. I think their biggest problem they had, and unfortunately they couldn't do anything about it, was the wind. I think they lost a couple of vendors were having tent problems because of the wind.
Really?
Did you go down there?
I didn't.
Oh,
I missed it this year.
I walked away with some really nice stuff.
I'm jealous. I was trying to make it down there, and I thought it ended at 4 yesterday.
Oh, yeah, it
So
didn't
I
until
didn't
5.
go down there because my last meeting didn't end until like 4:15.
Right.
So I'm jealous that you got down there.
Yeah. I bought a beautiful handmade wood Lazy Susan. When's the last time you used a Lazy Susan?
Wow.
And the woodwork, there was a gal who made, there were glass jars. I think she'd find them and then she'd do some etching in them and then she'd make special tops for them. Very cool. A local guy, I can never remember his name, married to Janie Dunnigan. Anyhow, did beautiful paintings. Bought a cool painted pillow. Betty Price got a nice painting, little small painting from Betty Price. Jewelry, my earrings are from one of the artists there.
You made out like a bandit.
I did.
Wow.
Bought a few Christmas gifts.
Good for you.
Yeah. There was,
You didn't have to get me anything.
I did though. There was a guy, I think the vendor that came the farthest was from Tennessee.
Crazy.
And had really neat pottery with cool colors like the colors we have on right now, which is a purplish.
Very purple.
Anyhow, nice event, and I can just see it growing and expanding each year. So hats off to that committee that did that.
Every time I drove past down there, it looked really busy, which I thought
And the music
great.
was good. It was a good setup. So
And they had to plan around that construction.
they had to plan around the construction. No, but I actually liked the location.
Yeah, I did too. I thought
It was
fit.
right there on Jackson between Pearl and,
Cortland?
no, I'm sorry,
No,
between Michigan
and Louis Glick.
and Louis Glick.
Yeah, it looked
And-
like a good setup when I was there Friday evening for the movie in the park. That they were getting everything set up, and it looked like it was gonna be really cool. So
So how was the movie in the park?
Movie in the park was fun.
yeah, it was really fun.
Yes, so if you don't have anything to do this Friday, grab a blanket and a chair,
Yeah.
and, because it got a little chilly, chairs for seating, blankets for warmth. Michigan Theater sponsors those movies in the park, so they have popcorn and soda and beer and wine for sale.
Really?
Yeah,
In the park?
in the park.
Who knew?
Who knew? And last week was Ghostbusters, and it was kind of cool because the Michigan Theater puts up this nice screen, and it was kind of waving a little bit in the wind, which was very appropriate because it was ghosty like.
Yeah.
So this week, what'd you say?
It's Jaws. this
Jaws.
week.
That's not my favorite show.
But to watch it outside, I think that's gonna be really fun.
Yeah,
so.
I might go visit, but I don't know that I'll stay for the whole show. I don't like to have nightmares in that show.
Jaws?
Yeah, even though it's old, even though it's an old movie, we all know what the outcome is.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't like those kind of movies.
They're funny.
Oh well.
So what else? What's going on?
The open house. We had open house yesterday. Do we have one coming up?
This I just
Sunday?
found out, but I think it's one of the ones we have an offer on, so I don't know if it will
Oh yeah, we
be
got.
sold before then.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, Jim.
So we'll have to look, and then we have a new listing, which is 3017 Wildwood Commercial Building. It used to be the Bonton Room, and I think the
No.
sign in front says All Play or something like that. Something
Yeah.
in the front. It's listed. It's been drastically reduced from when it was on the market before. 199,000.
Hang on a
Yeah.
second.
Yep.
And it's a good building, wide open floor space. It's really a nice setup for a lot of different uses. It does need a new roof, and the parking lot needs to be redone. That's why it's been drastically reduced. But the bones of the building are great.
And where's that at?
That's 3017 Wildwood Avenue, Blackman Township. Out by the airport,
Yeah,
not quite
kitty
as
cor-
far.
Kitty corner from the airport.
Yeah.
It's got a huge, tons of parking, and actually it's got that side yard.
Oh.
off the
What used to
side,
be there?
so-
Bonton Room,
Oh, okay.
and there's a sign that says all play something, I think in front, I don't know what it was before that, but, it could be used for a number of things. I've had calls on it for a gym, wide open space gym, and, antique store.
Hey, we have a guy on the phone here that was down at the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good morning. What happened down there?
Well, I got there about 8:30 and the sprinklers come on.
Oh, you know, I kind of heard about that, but I got there after that, so.
Did you get wet?
No, we worked our way and we turned the sprinklers so we couldn't get wet.
Okay.
Well, that just adds excitement, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Did you like the movie? Did you like the whole venue for the movie?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's really a nice park. It has turned out very well. I'm excited about it, and it's getting used a lot down there.
That's a wonderful thing that Jax is doing because it brings the community together. We get to know our neighbors a little better.
You know that's I'm
Thank
glad
you.
you
Thanks for
brought
the call.
that up
Yeah.
because one of the
They
ideas.
should have saved the sprinkler though for this week.
That's what I was just gonna say. The sprinklers would be a great effect for the Jaws one.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, you guys are quicker than I am. But I liked what he said about bringing the community together. One of the conversations that I've been having with people while I'm door knocking is neighborhood associations. In fact, we had a neighborhood meeting in one of the neighborhoods in my ward about, you know, how do you start a neighborhood association. So I think that type of concept, it's possible that it might help us solve some of our smaller problems that we have in the community.
Do people want to get people involved?
Yeah, and I think people do want to
Really?
get involved. Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, I got a post I saw on the Queens Facebook, neighborhood Facebook, that they want to get a meeting together yet this August. Yeah, I think people realize that if they know who their neighbors are, there will be less problems. There will be, if a kid is out of control or gets hurt or anything like that, people will be able to know who to call instead of our police officers. I mean, our police are overwhelmed as it is, and so if we can put anything that's in place to limit what it is they're called out on and let them focus on the more serious things, that would be a good thing. But an association could solve, I was door knocking on Beverly Park Place last night, and one of their concerns is the boulevard, the grass and the maintenance of the boulevards between the roads there. And that is a really cool little neighborhood. And Jackie, you had an open house there yesterday.
Yeah.
But they get frustrated because the trees are overgrown and trimmed back. You know, they said that the city's doing a better job of mowing the grass there, but they're more than happy to get out there and help mow the lawn and get the weeds out of the curb and gutter. But one of the things that the city says is that there's a liability issue. So I don't know, I haven't even looked into finding out if an association, if there's a way to have an association absorb some liability so that the city isn't. I don't know.
So if you went out and cut that, you would be.
and got hurt,
Would the city be liable?
well,
So you can't cut it?
apparently.
Okay.
I haven't talked to our city manager about that yet, because this conversation just happened last night.
Like the Redondo about, I was really roaring on that last year because you could barely see over it. They let the weeds grow so tall.
I don't know what you're talking.
The roundabout by Parks.
Oh,
is
the-
that what you're talking
Redondo about.
Oh,
about?
Come on, Laura.
I didn't know that's what it was
Well,
called.
that's what I call it.
I thought it was a roundabout.
Well,
but-
it is,
Yeah.
kind of.
Well, this year we're doing better on mowing. We have 4
Yeah.
contractors instead of 2, and one of the
But there was one point where you could barely see a car coming from the
Right.
other side. It was so bad.
Right.
I said, I'll go out and cut that.
Right. Well, and I remember that because I remember complaining about the grass that went out into the curb, because that's against our ordinance, cutting your grass and into the gutter. So the city went out and cleaned that up. But Yeah, I remember, we have different contractors this year that are keeping up on the lawn mowing. And in fact, Beverly Park Place, the 3 people right in a row, 3 households right in a row had the same concern, and they were glad that it was being mowed a lot better this
Now, I
year.
have a question. Does the city even do tree trimming anymore? Or if they need to do it, do they hire it out?
Yes and yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
They are doing it, I think it's as aggressive as they can, they have
Which is
time
probably
to do
pretty
right
slow.
now. Yeah, and then if people complain there's a dead tree, I mean, there's a lot of aging arbor in our community, and I think we need to do a little bit of planning on replacing those trees, because I heard that also, that trees were taken out and new trees weren't put in. So we want to make sure we have the trees that helps the community in a lot of ways, so. Interesting comments. When you're door knocking, it's pretty interesting what people are concerned about. And there's a lot of people who want to push up their sleeves and help. There was a gentleman on Crescent that he talked about how he cleans his curbs and takes weed killer and gets the weeds out of the street, and all that makes his neighborhood look better.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was shown a house not too long ago over by Loomis Park, and the neighbors next to the house I was showing was vacant, and they had gone in front of the vacant house and cleaned out all the gutters, and I actually thanked them and thought it was, and told them it looked great.
Oh, yeah.
So it was nice
and
to
there
see
was
them.
someone else on
doing that.
Bloomfield that mowed their neighbor's yard because it's a vacant home, and apparently the neighbor got upset because they mowed the front of the yard. But, you know,
Thank you.
right, I would have thanked them for mowing my yard. But it's nice to see so many citizens that want to help keep their neighborhoods intact while the city's having
I think a
a
lot of them.
downturn in the
I
economy.
think a lot of them
Yeah.
do that.
Well, absolutely. And, you know, hopefully people are starting to understand that it isn't this administration that created these problems. We're just trying to solve them. It's these problems. There's so many problems that started 30 some odd years ago. Legacy costs would be a good example of that. So
Yeah. That's everywhere.
that is everywhere, and but those all everywhere it started a long time ago. Whoever thought that we'd have such a downturn in our economy where we wouldn't have money, right? We all spent because there'd be money tomorrow. The money tomorrow didn't come.
Yeah.
I dealt with a house last week, and I don't know the answer to this dilemma, but there's a house that the city bought on foreclosure, or at the tax foreclosure sale, that is slated to be demoed in a neighborhood in the 6th Ward. And it's a nice neighborhood. And the neighbor called and was really concerned about that. And I went out and looked at it with city staff, and there's a big hole in the foundation where animals are getting in, and the foundation's in bad shape, and there's mold. It sits on a hill. I mean, there's a lot of issues with it. So do you renovate it? Do you give it to Community Action Agency and help them renovate the property? That's gonna cost a lot of money.
So
Do
the
you-
city owns it.
City owns it. Do they demo it? Because once a house like that is taken down, it really makes a huge difference in the neighborhood. But again, then there's a missing tooth in the neighborhood. Do you sell it to somebody that says that they can renovate it? I mean, if we do that, then we better make sure that they can actually have the funds to renovate it. Because otherwise, that makes that neighborhood even worse. And most of the neighbors in that neighborhood that actually came by while we were standing there were in favor of
Tearing it down.
tearing it down. And then you look at the lead issues for a city to renovate, for a municipality to renovate a property. They have, the government looks over their shoulder on lead issues. The government looks over your shoulder on lead for anybody, but even more so when it's municipality. And this particular house had meth in it.
That's a non-starter there.
And the house is,
And you got mold?
and mold, and a crumbling foundation.
Who's gonna wanna
I don't know.
rehab?
I don't know. I feel it's in a nice neighborhood. I would love to see the house saved because that
Yeah.
That's a stronger tax base than a vacant lot is gonna be. But when you look at all the elements involved, what's the right decision to do? That's a tough call.
Mm-hmm.
So we are stepping back and taking a look at what those options are. So we make sure we make the right decision. Many homes, that house has been vacant, well, it
How
ended
long?
up on tax sale, right? So they haven't paid their taxes for at least 2 years, but it hasn't been. You walk in there and there's still food in the refrigerator and it's just like they
Left?
left. But everything's spewing all over. I mean, there's a picture of the dad and their son on the couch, it's just,
So if you buy it, do you get back taxes or no? The city owns it.
city owns it.
So they'll have to sell it.
They would sell it for just what they have into it. We're not in the profit mode.
Okay.
I mean, we just want to see our community improve. And those are one of the elements that we have to deal with on a regular basis. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. So many people want to buy these vacant homes, but they don't have the income necessary to renovate them. We bought a couple of foreclosed homes, and believe me, the plumbing was there and the electricity was there, but
You really get in a worse bind by doing that.
oh my God, it's overwhelming what you have to do to update a house that's been sitting there
Yeah, this one.
vacant. And if it's been vacant for a couple months, that's one thing, but if it's been vacant through a winter or 2 winters, every time it goes through a winter, it gets worse. Because the heat's not on, the water's not on, no one's moving
Right.
around in that house. And we're not the ones who didn't maintain that property, right? It was the people who lived there
Previous.
previously that just let the maintenance continue to go down. So those are just tough decisions that have to be made.
What's the biggest issue with the people you've been talking to?
Communication. I mean, everybody knows we need roads, right? And they want the roads fixed. But before we can fix the roads, we have to address the water and sewer infrastructure like we are downtown, because it's 100 years old. And to have a community that's ready for economic development, those businesses that come to town and bring new employees, those employees aren't going to want to live in a community where their water freezes or their sewer lines back up. So we have to fix the water and sewer that lies beneath before we fix the roads, or at the same time we fix the roads. So that's a high priority. And then staffing or giving the tools to our police and fire necessary to provide safety within the community. Yesterday when or was it Saturday? When I was door knocking, I was walking down Elm, and all of a sudden a 32-year-old male collapses in front of me with a diabetic episode. I've never seen something like that happen before. So I just stepped back and because I didn't want to get in the way, because there were people already trying to help. It took our police less than 60 seconds to get to the scene. They were there in a heartbeat. 2 police officers. Our fire department was less than 3 minutes, and the ambulance was 11 minutes to get there. 11 minutes. The kid ended up going into a seizure. It took 8 people to hold him down.
Wow.
And I'm watching this, and I got to tell you, our police and fire did a fabulous job. And had they not been there, I have no idea what would have happened to that kid, because the neighbors, I'm not a neighbor, I was walking, but the neighbors were trying to, the mom kept saying he needs sugar water. It's when you're in a panic like that, it's hard to know what to do, and our police and fire are trained to handle those situations. So put a whole different outlook on the situation for me personally, and I really appreciate what they did. So if there's a way, but the person who gets paid, the point of all that too is the person who gets paid is the ambulance gets reimbursed, but it's our police and fire that did a lot of the work prior to the ambulance getting there, and we don't get reimbursed on that. So is there a solution or something that we could be looking at to help on the financial side of that, because it's the taxpayers that pay for the rescue that happens in that type of instance.
Tough question.
It is tough. So I'm excited about the election and winning and making a difference in the community.
Get out and vote tomorrow.
That's right, yes.
Thinking Real Estate, the hotline.
780-3800.
Can you believe